Good morning. You'll notice that I'm still not there right now. Quarantine ends, I think it's next Friday. So I have one more week to go. Um, Sorry. I really wish I could be there just to help out. Um, and I know that these lessons are going to be a little bit different because I have to deliver them completely remotely to you. So you'll have videos some days. You'll also have independent activities some days, but everything is going to be posted in Teams until I get back. Okay. So in the meantime, I got my son stuck in his room because I don't want what he has. My little's hanging out with us because he's a household contact, and I'm staying away from as many of them as possible. I mean, there's only two, but I'm doing what I can to not only make sure my big gets what he needs, but trying to stay healthy for my little and so that I can come back to all of you. Let's get started with today so that you can get your work done. Because the second part of what I have you doing is hands-on, and again, it's going to end up being a little bit different than what I had originally planned, but that's okay. But it's going to be hands-on, and we're going to work on that time scale part of what we've been building towards. Okay, so let's take a step back from what we did yesterday. Of course, change of plans just kind of has to be flexible, I guess. But I'd asked you, and many of you worked with a partner, and that's fine if you worked alone. But I'd asked you to respond to these 6 questions using the diagram at the top. And the very first thing I would ask for you to do was to give me the order of events. So what happened first? What happened second? What happened third? Okay. So this is where you're going to check your answers. And we'll go through these questions and you will be able to understand the order and why the explanation. Okay. The very first event was C. The second event was B. The third event, D. Okay, so far we are at C, B, A, D, and then E. This may not be what you have, and that's okay. I anticipate that being the case. But let's get into why. Let's get into why this happens, okay? So the layers that were moved by the fault, so if you think back to our solving a mystery, you can't put tracks in a place under tracks that already existed. So everything had happened before E. So the layers that were moved, C, B, A, and then the intrusion of D. Okay. So we know that all of those that happened before E, and the magma intrusion, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. I said I gave you the layers and the intrusion. All right, so we're gonna make sure we have the layers here. And then, did the magma intrusion happen before or after the fault? And the answer to that is, it happened before. We know that it happened before the fault because the fault is what would have broken the intrusion, okay? If the intrusion had happened after the fault was created, then you would see that solid magma chamber from the bottom of the image all the way through to the surface. Okay, so that intrusion happened before the fault. Okay, youngest layer. It's going to be the layer. It's going to be the. I'm sorry. It's going to be the intrusion. That's the last event. The first event. Let's see. First event and then the fault. Sorry, guys. The youngest layer, we're looking at they're not labeled. So if you put the brown and the green as the surface, as the youngest layer, right on. But the one that is labeled with a letter for the youngest layer is A. And we know this because the oldest is at the bottom. That happened first. And the newest / the youngest is what is on top. The law of superposition, so this is a vocabulary word here, that is important for you to know and have in your notes. Hint, hint, a wink, wink. I need you to put this into your folder, okay? Make sure you get that in your notes. We are looking at, and you should have already done this. If you didn't, that's where the hint, hint, wink, wink comes in, okay? That law of superposition states that the sequence of rock layers has the youngest on top, the oldest on the bottom. And so what geologists, the people who study the earth itself, they're learning about what happened, that timeline, the order of events, which leads us into the next thing that you're doing. So this will show up in your assignments as Explore 2. And what we're going to do, you do need a piece of paper, just a piece of notebook paper. You are going to be writing on it, so please make sure that it is a clean piece, okay? Because I'm going to ask you to make some predictions. So we're going to look at that history of Earth and some of the information that geologists have been able to collect. So here comes to that piece of paper. If you need to pause the video to get that piece of paper and a writing utensil, do that now. All right. Otherwise, I'm going to start with the directions. You are going to take that piece of paper, put it upright like you would be writing on it like normal, and you are going to fold it the long way, right on down the middle, and then you are going to tear it in half. Okay, so these are those hot dog folds. Tear it in half. And again, pause as you need with the directions. I'm going to keep on going because you have the luxury of a pause button. The second thing that you are going to do, laying those papers in a long line, I want you to use the table on this screen, okay, where it says early dinosaurs, first flowers, and the lower part of the screen. I want you to use that table to create a timeline of the events that have happened in Earth's history. At the top of your strip of paper you put today, at the bottom you put 4.5 BYA. BYA stands for billion years ago, and that's where we have been able to pinpoint the start of our Earth, the birth of our planet. Okay, so fill those in. Again, pause, because I got to keep going with these directions. My timer's clicking down. All right, I want you to look back at that strip of paper, all right? And there is a little bit that we need to understand because we're going to actually measure out that history, okay? And if we were to take a scale of 1 millimeter equaling 1 million years, we would have to have 4.5 meters. 4.5 meters. That's over 12 feet of paper to fit the events that I had in that table onto your strip of paper. I know I set you up. Sorry. It's on purpose. So let's get an active model going. Okay. I want you to take that top piece of paper, because we're going to fold both of them, the top and the bottom, a little differently because we have different events happening at different times, right? So that top piece of paper, I want you to fold it in half so the top meets the bottom. Okay, so the width is never going to change, just the height. So you're going to fold it in half, fold it in half one more time, fold it in half for a third time. That will make 8 sections for you. And then set that paper aside. Pick up your bottom piece. I want you to fold it 1/3 down. and then fold the bottom third up, leaving it as that 1/3 size piece of paper, fold it in half. So what you just successfully did was made 6 sections. So there are 8 in the top, 6 in the bottom. Now I need you to flip over your papers so that you are looking at the blank side, because your predictions were on the front. All right, so we're going to get some accuracy here on the back. So at the top where it says today, that goes in the top 1 millimeter. Okay. On that first fold, you are going to put grass first appears. That's not that long ago. If the top is today and the bottom of both strips is 4.5 billion years ago. Interesting. And that happened 20 million years ago. 20 million years ago, geologists have found evidence of when grasses first started appearing on Earth's surface. On the second crease, you are going to put dinosaurs go extinct. That happened 65 million years ago. 65 million years ago. Okay. And remember, pause as often as you need to. Halfway between grass and the dinos, that's when apes were first appearing on Earth's surface at 35 million years ago. Now we're going to go down to the middle of that top piece of paper, down to the middle crease. And you're going to add flowers first appeared 120 million years ago. On the last fold, you are going to put early dinosaurs appear at 225 million years ago. All right, so you're going to set that top part aside and put your bottom half of your paper in front of you and follow these next set of directions. Remember, pause as necessary. On the first crease, reptiles, 310 million years ago. On the second crease, amphibians and ferns, 350 million years ago. This is where living things are finally moving from the aquatic life to a terrestrial life, so from the water to land. On the very bottom, you gotta add the statement marine invertebrates and trilobites. That's 540 million years ago. And I have some fossils of these that I will show you when I get back. They're super awesome. I have actual fossils. All right. Now we're going to go back up to the top of that very first page. And you are going halfway between grass and today. Draw a dashed line. And then halfway between today and that dashed line, you're going to put humans first appear. That's 3 million years ago. Okay, so here are the timelines that are with each of the events that I had asked for you to put on your timeline. The remainder of class, I want you spending that time in the assignment working on the questions for Explore 2. Explore 2.